Good morning, my dear friends. Brenda L. Balding here. The L stands for Love's Inner Voice, the path of self-discovery, the name of my TV show that you're watching. Thank you all for being here. Let's start with some few heart breaths to some soft music. Breathe in imagine breathing in through the heart, into the lungs, into the core, and you're breathing in divine loving light. And just do that and hang for like 4 count. And as you breathe out anything that you want to let go of right now. You can always take it back. Breathe in again through the heart, down into the lungs, into the core. If you want to go all the way to your feet, you can. Breathe out anything that you want to let go of and put it into the loving divine hands of light and love. And do that 3 or 4 more times. Just be in the moment. Any thoughts coming in, just let them go for now. Notice anything that your body is letting you know, and just let it go. And come into the moment with this last breath. It is a real joy to be with you today. And you know what? I have a really cool guest that I'm going to introduce you to later. Today we're going to talk about sacred awakening. And for me, that heart breathing helps me become more present into what's happening right now in my life. It doesn't matter if it's messy. We'll talk a little bit about that today. And, it truly is about being present in whatever way we are in the moment. Looking at our creativity, looking at who we want to be. That's what Love's Inner Voice is all about. Listening to our intuition, listening to the love that we have to share with the world. So today it's about sacred awakening, being open to abundant happiness and love. And, it really is about self-discovery. It really is about dancing in the aurora borealis or dancing in the music of your life with your friends, with whatever is coming up for you. That's what Love's Inner Voice is all about. We define it however we want to define it because we're unique. That can be scary sometimes, our uniqueness. Me, I'm celebrating it. It's taken me a long time to start celebrating it. And when Ann joins us, she'll tell you the same thing because it's true. And sometimes I just have to let the mess go and just enjoy what I'm learning from the mess. The mess is just my thinking. It's how I perceive something in the moment. So I'd like to have you welcome Ann Jonas. Let me tell you a little bit about her. There's her beautiful picture. She's also known as the Love Messenger, transformational guide, and is passionate about assisting and supporting others to become exactly who you truly are in this moment, at this time, without perfection. You know, I don't need to be perfect. That's too hard to maintain. I just want the support and the love and the intuition. She's holistic, she's intuitive, she's spiritual. She loves the divine. And she's been doing this work for decades, as I have, as a lot of you probably have too. She's a body worker and she's also been a birth doula. So she's been welcoming souls into the world for years. And that brings me tears. Today, her most powerful gift is living as a being of love and light, offering transformational and perspective guidance. As a shamanic guide, an intuitive healer, and a body worker, writer, speaker, we were blessed to work on sacred connection together, and created a book with 5 other women, which was a blessing for me. I'd never thought of doing an anthology. And she found her own ground and stability from the depth of the challenges of life. That's where I find it too. And they offered her where she can meet and accept her path. She knows how to hold others where they are, how to accept people where they are. And that's what we want to learn too. Living the truth of, as she says it, our mess of the message, encouraging and being a true witness and guide. She creates and holds space as a safe container, and I have experienced that in her Sacred Connection group on Thursdays. What Ann says is, my desire is to support soul human beings in the unveiling of the higher self and allowing spirit to bring abundant happiness and love. Please welcome my friend Ann Jonas. Welcome, Ann.
Look at me. You got me crying. Look at me. You
Me
got me
too.
crying, sister. I know. Well, you are always crying. You got me crying. Well, I'm always crying too. It's a win-win for us.
Yes, it is.
Mm,
Yes, it is.
thank you.
So tell me a little bit about your journey. I've mentioned a whole bunch of things, but your journey about the Lotus Path and the Love Messenger, because I see that they're intertwined.
I am going to tell you about that, but I am going to first tell you about a synchronicity,
Go
because
ahead.
that's the thing I live for, is synchronicities. And doing this episode today, and I know that this is recorded now and shared at another time, but this is the now
Mhm.
moment. And today
Yes.
is the new moon, the solar eclipse here. And last night I watched a movie called Will and Harper. And the night before that, I watched a movie called Naiad. And if you aren't familiar with those two movies, Naiad is about Diana Naiad, who swam at 64 from Cuba to Florida after being a swimmer her whole life. And Will and Harper is about Will Ferrell and a dear friend who he travels across the country with her as a transitioned woman. And both of these movies, which are true stories, resembled, reflected, and demonstrated what you talked about, which is essentially shining our light no matter how uncomfortable it is.
Yeah.
When we I have a friend here, by the way, that's been flying in my field, so there might be a moment where I do a thing like this. So just so you know.
That's okay.
See, here's the thing, you know, We're all freaks inside, okay? And I'm using that term loosely. I wave a crazy flag. I have reclaimed being a rainbow unicorn. I recognize, and that's part of this journey. That's part of this experience is me witnessing, being curious, recognizing that life is a mirror. Everything that we are is reflected
Mhm.
in what's out in the world and what we
Yes.
magnetize. We magnetize to ourselves the stories, the experiences, the relationships, the people, the events, all of it
Mhm.
for our greatest evolution. And so, as someone who I came out of the womb ready to help and support people. Like, where can I help and support you? Like, that was who I am. And I found a lot of ways to do that. I've been so grateful to be called to first being in the fine dining restaurant business, where it was about helping and supporting someone through a dining experience. It was about being with them at an event in their life, in a now moment, like we always love to talk about. NOW, we've won when we're here now. WON, and we're one with everything. ONE.
Yep.
The essence of being one's self by witnessing what you bring into your life. That's what I've been
Mhm.
doing. I've been, and now I know, like it all, like fast forward, in the last 2 years from the beginning of Sacred Connection, and I've been in the lotus energy here. This lotus, woo, there's my hand. There it is. The lotus touch was my first, I know the backwards thing was my first expression as a business, right? As a offering to the world, my practice as a
Mhm.
birth doula and a body worker, intuitive body worker. And then that evolved into the Lotus Coach and then the Lotus Path. And then through that was the Love Messenger. And all of it has been around me witnessing my growth foundationally. Like this is
Mhm.
like your discovery. Discovery is what you are all about, dear
Yep.
friend.
Yes, I
Discovery
am.
and love. I'm about love and transformation, but
Mhm.
you are discovering yourself as you're witnessing transformation, being
Yes.
curious. And so that's really, in essence, for me, recognizing that we are here on a journey of self, for, through, with the divine. And all the things that we're experiencing are serving for the collective experience of our life, of who we are, of our vision, our purpose, of what we're meant to be and do. Yeah. Okay. Does that answer the question? Do you want another one?
You were talking about synchronicity, and
Yeah.
I know that you've had a lot of synchronicities in your life, and the synchronicity of us meeting the
Yeah.
person who introduced us just left your home this
Yeah. We
morning.
scheduled this. I mean, we were going to schedule this for next week and then
Yes.
we rescheduled it. I mean, like you can't anticipate, plan, or even question the whole thing. Mhm.
Well, we can, but we kind of can go down a rabbit hole when we start. At least I can. I'm
Okay.
really
Yeah.
good at going
I
down a rabbit
appreciate that.
hole.
The human condition does and will. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
For me, at this point, since I recognize that life is a series of synchronicities, there's the Lemony Snicket's, a series of unfortunate events. I have a different shift on that. It's a series of synchronicities. It's
And I
your,
see, yes. Go
go
ahead.
ahead, go
And
ahead.
I see
Well, I say
it
it's
as,
it's for you to decide that they're
yes,
there. You get to
yes,
see them. I think that's what you were going to
yes.
say.
I see them as opportunities.
Yes.
They're opportunities to learn from, or to say, I see you and I'm going to let go of that for right now.
Yeah,
And like
absolutely.
you said, it's choice. It puts us into free will because that's what the divine has given us
Yeah.
to
It's all
choose.
choice. It's
Yeah,
all
it's
choice.
all
It's all
choice.
choice. It's all choice.
Yeah.
I mean, let's go all the way back. I mean, you know this. You chose to be the person that you are. I
Mm-hmm.
chose middle middle class, mid-century, 20th century, basically middle of the everythingness and Jewish and whatever it is. I chose the whole package and I chose my
Mm-hmm.
parents. And,
Mm-hmm.
if we get to that story, the idea is that my parents demonstrated and lived their life so that I could express mine. Now, when I talk about that and people say, well, why would I choose blah, 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 dot, 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 right? There's a bazillion things that we could say. Why would I choose that? Dr. Ava Edith Enger. Do you know her? She wrote a book called The Choice.
Mm-hmm.
She was in the Holocaust.
Mm-hmm.
She talks about it doesn't matter what you're experiencing. You get to choose to be with it in your way. You
Yes.
get to decide. It's something else I say, E plus R equals O, the event plus the response, the experience plus the reaction. That's the outcome. That's the O.
Mm-hmm.
The event's gone. It doesn't exist anymore, right? Because we're here in the now moment. All we're
And
doing is replaying it.
yeah.
Go
And the
ahead.
O is also what you're choosing to own about the experience, which is OWN.
I, okay, I'm verklempt. How many times have you taken words out of seen me not have something to say, Brenda? That is awesome. I'm totally yes. It was funny. I knew you were gonna bring in there was a fourth like zhuzh of the now. And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, what is it again? There it is. And you brought it in through that. You're absolutely right, because here's the other thing. It's about being empowered or
Mm-hmm.
disempowered. When we own it, when we take responsibility for it, when we recognize we created it, oh my God. So let's even go there. So let's even go, we created the experience so we could have a response, so we could create an outcome and own it. How about that for
Mm-hmm.
a journey?
And we could walk still in the light of love and the light of self compassion and self love so that we can then shine it out into the world in whatever messy way is in the moment.
Yeah. Well, I believe that an important word in what you just said really is compassion and
Mm-hmm. Yes.
self love, self compassion,
Yep.
because it's that sense that, okay, so you created something horrific in your life. Okay, let's just say that. You created this event, it's horrific. Now you get to work through it and own it. That, when you see it like that, then you get to realize, oh my God, how powerful am I? I created a whole experience to really jack up my world so that I could really work hard at letting go.
At letting go, absolutely.
I mean, what an oxymoron. Work hard to let go. We work hard to let go.
We
We work
do.
hard to
And
surrender.
yeah. And the thing is that the divine puts all of these things in front of us like this gift platter, this platter of gifts of choice. And we can, people can go, well, what do you mean you chose to be part of the Holocaust? Or you chose to have tremors like I have tremors? Or you chose to have a bad accident or whatever? I wanted to learn from that experience. I want to learn what it's like to have to hang on to my glass with both hands. And that's okay because, number one, that's part of being human and authentic, and that really is what I want to be, is the most authentic, caring person I can be, in honesty, hope,
Mm.
and faith, and trust in the divine.
I'm listening to you and I'm thinking about two words, sacred awakening. That's what
Yep.
you're talking about. That's what we're
Yes.
talking about. And
Yes.
that, in essence, encapsulates it. It's when we decide to be willing to recognize. Let's look at that. When we decide to be willing to recognize, right? There's a lot of steps in getting to this point.
Yes.
We realize
Yes.
that.
Yes.
So you choose, and then then information starts to come through. You get more clarity. You realize that you are instrumental, right? You make a
Mhm.
choice, it has an outcome, you get to witness it, and you get to see, wow, what I learned from that. This is all about being conscious. There's a conscious way to live and an unconscious way to live.
Mhm.
That's the reality. I'm not a video game person per se, but let's look at two things. One, there's a matrix. Okay, so we're just going to leave that little thing over here.
You can talk
Two,
about it if you like.
we can talk about it, but two, we're going to talk about a video game. So, the concept of a video game, if you have a joystick, and I know I'm a Gen Xer, okay? So I know they're not called that anymore, but if you have that, if you're holding that,
You have your thumbs, is what you.
you got. And now, like 40 years later, you're an avatar. Okay. So we were a little like a line or some weird thing. Now you're an avatar. I mean, we got virtual reality, right? I mean, we've got like, this is
Mhm.
virtual reality. Okay. Let's just, again, we have the Matrix over here. We're here in a video game. Here we are in a video game. We're an avatar. And then there's all these other like beings in there, right? You got your buddy who you're playing with. They're an avatar with a joystick and you can do stuff with them, right? You're like, "Hey, block my thing or help me do that or right, go find this thing." So there you guys are like talking together and you're doing your thing and then you die. My daughter does it with a friend. They're on the computer and they're on the phone and they're, like they're long distance and everything. But then there's others. There's other beings in the game,
Mhm.
and you don't interact with them, but they affect things as you go through your game, right?
Mhm.
These
Yep.
non-players, there's a word for them. And so what we're talking about is there's the conscious avatar and then the non-something players. This planet has those.
Mhm.
And I'm going to say that those of us that are avatars with a joystick, because we know we're playing a game, is about 10%, right? 15, if we're going to give it a little bit. So when we think about it, most people don't spend time honoring what we're talking about, right?
And there
That we
isn't any
are.
good or bad or judgment about that.
There's no judgment. That's what
No.
I'm saying. They
Yep.
support us that are awake. That
Yeah.
is it's all one. It's all one.
Yep.
And so everybody serves a purpose. Every life has a role, whether it be, this fly that is entertaining this room that I've noticed in the screen, to a weather pattern, to,
Yep.
who's your parent or your child or your partner, to your colleagues, to your animals. Our animals play
Yes.
a role in a mirror of our existence.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So we can go from the macro of the politics and the business of Earth, right? Of
Mhm.
Earth School. That's the business. That's the structure of
Mhm.
Earth School. We have
Mhm.
religion, we have medicine, we have government, we have education.
Mhm.
And then we have being awake over here. Back we got the matrix. So that's that sacred awakening for me is recognizing that we live in a chosen dimension with an intention for evolution and growth.
Hmm. It's so interesting when you were talking, the Disney movie from way back when called Tron, and you're talking about
Oh,
the Matrix,
right.
they were inside the computer and there were some people working and some people not. And then it made me think of the carnival person who's walking down the street with this huge big bunch of balloons, and he's walking along and there's slight winds and all of that, and the ones on the outside kind of can touch some of the ones on the inside have all these connections like we do. And then all of a sudden the wind shifts them. And the ones in the center may go to the outside and they're learning a whole new experience. And I love that
Perspective.
metaphor of the balloon, a whole different perspective.
Yeah, perspective. That's
Yeah,
that. So sacred awakening is really about a sacred perspective.
yeah,
It's the ability to allow, to see, to choose to see, right? Out of mind, out of sight. If
hmm,
you can't conceive of its possibility, how could you possibly see it?
yeah.
We
It's
we
really
wonder why
about,
people don't see things. Like, "Why don't you see this?" It's like, but it's not possible for them to allow for its existence, right? That's part of what the conceiving of it is. When we create something, we have its existence come to life. A thought, idea, a book, a movie, whatever, electricity. Whatever we've created is because we allowed it to be seen and expressed through us.
yes. And like we said in the title, Sacred Awakening means being open, open to abundant happiness and love. We have to be open, like you use the word willing. We need to be willing to be open and to deal with whatever comes, because we're not going to, we humans want to know what's coming, because otherwise
Well,
we
we want
tend
to
to walk in
understand.
fear. We tend to
Yes.
walk in fear, and it's like, I'm going to walk through fear to see what's on the other side, to see what miracle is on the other side. And it's
Well, we know that.
trusting that I'm not going to fall and be smashed.
What is fear an acronym for? How many different acronyms?
Oh my
False
gosh,
evidence
there's so
appearing
many
real.
acronyms for fear. Yeah.
All of it being a very well placed block along your
Hmm.
journey. That's all it is.
Yep.
It's a stuck point. The thing is, so here we go. We got the lotus and the mud, right? When we go into the mud, and this is where I have come through, helping and supporting people through a dining experience and a birth doula and through coaching as a general term. Transformational guidance
Yes.
is honoring that we are walking a path every day that evolves. Now,
Hmm.
again, whether we decide that we're going to be like all in on that or we're going to like go kicking and screaming and getting dragged down the path, that's our choice. That's our choice. Okay, here's the deal. You know this, Brenda, and probably most of you out there, if you're hanging out here with Love's Inner Voice, beautiful Brenda Balding. Life is happening for you, not to you, never to you. You created it. You brought it in for your greatness, right?
Yeah.
That is the amazingness. And the deal is that it's not all happy, happy, joy, joy. No, there's
No,
poopy pants days. We talk about that. We celebrate them because those are the growth edges, right?
yeah. They increase my chance to be more aware, to be more awake, to shed another, um, what can I say? Not a shell, but another piece from my eyesight.
Well, a veil, a layer,
Yes.
a block.
Yep.
It's oh gosh, there was something that was coming through. Go ahead though.
I was seeing it as part of like the fish scales and how the scales slowly let go as I move forward and am willing to move to the next way of being for Brenda L. Balding, for Love's Inner Voice, for Sacred Connections, for Sacred Awakening, mine and anybody else's, and how I can support that and honor who they are in the moment without judgment, without, you got to do it this way because it's
Right.
the right way. Well, what's the right way? Because we're all unique and each
Yep.
person has their own way. And if we do it with love and compassion, we're not going to be stepping on anybody else's toes because we're going to be moving with the flow of love and light.
I love that you brought that in, not stepping on anybody else's toes. I'm going to bring in the four agreements. Don Miguel
Okay.
Ruiz,
Yes. Yes.
Toltec wisdom.
Mhm. Yes.
Here's the deal. This is your journey
Yep.
for you. You chose it. You created it.
Hmm.
You need to put the oxygen mask on yourself, my friend, right? This is where we go. Exactly. You have to take care of yourself. This is something that most people do not like hearing because that means that they would be dismissing someone else. But guess what? It's their job to take care of themselves, not your job.
Yep. Yep.
You take care of you. And then for those of us that love to help and support, we do it from a more grounded, secure, connected place. We're connected to
Uninvasive.
ourselves. We're connected to the divine. And absolutely, I love that you said that. Permission. Permission. Oh, I know what I was going to say. That's funny. One of my quotes. We receive many gifts in this lifetime. Most of them come in ugly packaging.
Hmm.
That idea is what you were speaking to, bringing in the tough stuff because
Hmm.
you know that it's going to take you to the next level,
Yep.
right? So that's so exciting to know that we're actually here to do hard things. That,
And go
and
ahead.
yet that's not a judgment again, like getting
Right.
out, like being neutral with that. Like we're here to do things that are going to take us to the next level, kind of bringing in Diana Nyad and Harper Steele, Will's friend. Like it is to do something truthfully because our spiritual evolution is so sacred. When we come here, we're doing something sacred expressed as a human. Like that's coming through me right now. Like that essence is that it is sacred to be human. It is sacred to feel like somebody who's here to break through something. It's sacred to feel to get broken down. It's sacred to transform.
Hmm.
And it's sacred to shine your light.
Yep.
And
And
these
it's
are all the things that get diminished by a society that says, don't be better than anybody else unless you're the best. And then you're above everybody else, right? What an
that's where
interesting
shame
thing.
comes in.
Exactly. Where do you fit into that? You can't fit into that. I love that you brought shame in. What is it an acronym for?
Should have already mastered everything.
Everything. Exactly. I love it. And yet Malcolm Gladwell, this just came through 10,000 hours.
Hmm.
10,000 hours. Okay. But let's go to quantum leaping. What if it
Yes.
takes 1 second and you're literally fully immersed in being that? That's back to the Matrix. Remember when it's like, I need to learn how to fly a helicopter. Let's plug you into the helicopter program. And then it goes into your boat, your cells, and then you get out and you fly a helicopter. That's the quantum field.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, this is so much fun. You knew this would be fun. You do fun
Of course,
things.
I knew it would be fun.
You
I
do
have
fun
fun with
stuff.
every speaker. I mean, I
I
have
know,
fun
that's
with
what I
every
mean.
guest.
Because
And
you bring it. I'm going to bring something here, Brenda. Everybody, I want you all to hear. Who you are is who you're attracting.
mhm,
Who you're being is who you're calling in to your field. And it's so important. If there's questions about how you're showing up in the world, if you're feeling some unease, in dis-ease,
mhm.
discomfort, disconnection, out of sync, how many words do we have to
Right,
reference the human condition? Okay.
right.
Allow the human condition to be the mirror and the teacher. Drop back into that power, that self power, and take a look. Take a look who's in your life from out here, from above, from within, however you want to see that. That's a way to recognize where you might be on your journey, yours, not anybody else's. It's not a reflection of anybody else. It's only a reflection of you. And you
Mhm.
can say, yes, we're grooving. And you can also say, ooh, I think there's some things that need to shake through. That's about being conscious. Either way, it's about being
Mhm.
conscious.
Yeah. And it's also about being willing to walk in whatever it is, whether you feel like you're making a mistake by the choice that you're making. That doesn't mean that I am a mistake. None of us are mistakes. It doesn't matter what somebody tells us. That's my belief. That's my prayer. And to me, that's love's message.
I love that. There's no wrong, Brenda.
Yeah.
There's no wrong in anything at all. Now, we live on a planet that has polarity, right? Good and
Yes.
bad, right and wrong, black and white, na na na. That's sun and day, day and night. That is the essence of the third dimension. It's not the essence of love,
No.
which is everything.
Right.
Within that is we are here to, again, back to that place of we're here to evolve and we're here to walk through things that are going to hurt. It's funny, again, another synchronicity. I've been talking a lot about the concept of the red flag, like most often they come up in intimate relationships and you meet somebody and everything's rosy and golden and fabulous. And then you're like, ooh, there's a red flag. Ugh, right? And then you're like, they're fabulous. I love them. It's fun. Ooh, there's a red flag. Nope, we're gonna like pull that one out too. And then 6 months, 2 years down the road, you're like, oh, those red flags I tossed out over there, they're a big old messiness right now. Okay, there's two ways of looking at that. One is, yay for you, you walked in to a mess pretty consciously because you pulled the red flag out and said, we're not going
Mhm.
to pay attention to that.
Been there, done that.
Two, I've done it all my life. But here's the thing, I'm wondering now, what if you see the red flag and you say, oh, here comes a big lesson?
Well, see, and
And
that's how I see it is, oh,
yeah,
what is that here to teach me?
exactly. So then what about the next level, Brenda, when, and I know you got your personal experience of choice and I got my personal experience of choice, and we don't have to talk about that. But what if when we see that and then we say, how about I decide this round I'm not going to go through that? Like I'm going to actually see that red flag and allow that to say, don't walk this path. And
Mm-hmm.
then I can take a breath and go, okay, what am I missing out on?
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, because I'm having this consciousness around a series of red flags and what they offer me, I'm taking that reflection and saying, I'm going to choose to not go down a red flag path today. And that's that. And then you could be like, well, what fabulous thing did I miss out on? Well, you missed out on something that was going to be equally irritating or
Right.
uncomfortable
Yeah. I mean,
because
I
that's
look
life.
back. Yeah. And that's where acknowledging and taking responsibility for the choices we make. And
Yep.
that's where a lot of humans have an issue because they don't want to take responsibility for the choices they make. They want to point a finger because it's easier. Well, you know what? I don't want it easy. I want it full of love and light and excitement and mystery and creativity and self discovery and making free choices instead of believing that somebody else is running my boat.
Everything you said is exactly what God wants. Everything you
Yeah,
said is as an expression of the divine. And I'm going to
yeah.
bring forth something I'm sure everybody's heard of. If you're going to point fingers at anything anybody's doing, look at this. Three of them. One, two, three. And then guess this one. This one's blaming God. This one's blaming the divine that says, it's all about this. Look at people. We are solely SOL and SOLE solely, meaning the only one
Right,
responsible, and yet
right,
SOULY. I'm making up a word. Solely
right,
responsible for this
right.
life. And you
And
can blame all you want.
right.
Go.
And notice the symbol that you also made was a gun.
Exactly. That's also, you're right. And the thing is, because what does a gun provide besides food for some people? Okay.
Right. That's
I
that's
think that was the
doable.
original
That's
essence of it.
appropriate. Well,
Yeah,
that's
that's appropriate.
appropriate. Yes.
Yes. It's it's an it's a choice to control a situation.
Yeah.
Okay? And I mean, again, you're getting your food, you're controlling a situation. But when we're using it as security or offensively, then we defensively or offensively, we are essentially controlling a situation. You're right. I've never thought about it that way.
And yet, is that appropriate?
Never. And yet everybody does it all the time. So
Yeah.
that's that thing. We're all dancing in the dance of control, surrender,
Yep.
all of
Control,
it. I mean, and
surrender.
that's
Yep.
absolutely my story. I had this magnet on my fridge for decades, and I have a little heart glued on top of it now to remind myself to have compassion and love myself for
Yeah.
being this, because the magnet says people who really know it all irritate those of us who do.
And yet, do we know it all anyway? You know, we
We
know,
do. But that's the
I,
thing. We know it all because
we
we're
know it
one with
all.
everything.
We're not conscious of it necessarily. We have the option of knowing it all. We could continue for another hour. We're moving into needing to close the show down. Talk to me about the love messenger offering. What does that
Yeah.
mean?
The love messenger is here at this time to offer transformational and perspective guidance. Transformational guidance is in a one on one, and that can be locally here on Idaho Earth or anywhere because we have these fabulous boxes that we get to play in. And I, I through the love messenger offerings, the lotus path.love, that is in essence the overarching symbol of being on a path. We're all on a path where there's mud.
Yep.
And so we all have this opportunity to be in relationship with that transformation consciously. The lotus path.love will bring you to sacred connection, which is, of course, there's our book. And I know Brenda's got hers back there. And we have the sacred connection webinar. We are wrapping up round 8. That's been
Yep.
going since October. We will start another round in beginning of 2025. And I am all over the place. Ann, the love messenger. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on YouTube. I offer at least once a month a portal energy perspective guidance. And I am here to remind us all that we are love. That is the essence of this foundation of life.
Mm-hmm. And we are love. You know, we truly are light and love. Thank you so much, Anne. Is there any last message you'd like to give the audience before we move into closing with some more deep breathing?
I love that we're doing deep breathing on either side. I'll say one last moment. You are a gift. You are a gift for you. You are a gift for all that are in your field. And remember that everything that you be is an expression of the divine. Such an honor. Thank you so much, sweetie, for being love, expressing it the way you do with so much grace. It's such a gift to have you in my field, in the community, and that we together are continuing to hug so many beautiful beings as we
Yes,
offer up our love. Thank you so much
yes,
for inviting
yes.
me.
Thank you so much for being here. Okay, let's take in some heart breaths. Yana, if you could play some beautiful music again, that would be great. Take in a nice deep heart breath through your heart, into your lungs, down into your core. Breathe in the light and love of the divine, however you experience that energy. Breathe out anything that you're willing to let go of in this moment into the loving hands of the divine. And do that for 3 or 4 or 5 times. Breathe in anything that spoke to you during this last time with Ann Jonas. And explore it. Maybe journal, maybe draw a picture. Just be with it. Breathe in, breathe out. Thank you so much for being here. Love's Inner Voice is streamed on Thursdays at 4 p.m. Pacific Time and re-shown on Sundays at 8 a.m. on I Have Today TV, E360 TV. Thank you so much, Anne, for joining me today. It has been a total gift and a wonderful ride. Thank you so much for joining us. And thank you, Yana, for all your assistance, my beautiful VA. And let's move into showing Ann's information one more time as we move into the letting go of the show for today. Thank you all. You are